Okay, so it's another sunny Wednesday, as it was last week. I'm currently at the Manchester Science Park. We're in one of the office buildings there, and I'm with Johnny Byrom, who's an actor I've now known. It's 10 years this year.
Is it?
10 years this year.
Wow.
That's frightening.
3 years less than my wife.
So Johnny has been acting quite a long time now. Can you talk to me about what first drew you to acting?
Okay, all right, okay. Yeah, it's a long story, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty much my life. So I kind of fell into acting at a very young age at school, really. I was a bit of a clown in class. I like to make people laugh. I distinctly remember one time my English teacher saying to me, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah.
No idea, really. But I just knew that, I liked making people laugh and kind of being the centre of attention, I guess.
Really? Is that what it was? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just kind of liked... I like to engage with people and see their responses. And I always played like sort of make-believe and dressing up and stuff with... Because my granddad used to have these costumes. Some are a bit... You couldn't wear them now.
No.
Like, I think he had a Gary Glitter costume.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you wouldn't be seen dead in that now. But he had all sorts like Tommy Cooper fez and stuff. And I used to just get dressed up and I'd just come and entertain the family.
Family performance.
Yeah, exactly. Drag my cousin into it and stuff. So I always had like a leaning towards being
performing.
and entertaining people. But it didn't really occur to me that it could be a profession. I did drama at school, and I was naturally quite good at it, or I was getting good grades. I don't know how much of that's a reflection of whether I'm a good actor or not, because I don't know how you grade a performance. So I just remember, I remember the AQA testers being sat there, and we were doing a production of Billy Liar, which is a great play. It's a good Northern play, actually. It's good for young aspiring actors to look at if they were interested. But I remember doing it, and it's so playful. Like the dialogue's wonderful, the characters he's like a make believe. Like he lives in his own little bubble, and everything's like dramatized. Like I remember there's a scene where he picks up this newspaper and he's like taking the mick out of the headlines, like cabinet something imminent or something. He's reading out these headlines, and I could see in the corner of my eye the AQA tester sort of smirking and smiling, and I fed off that. And
really?
I guess
the examiner,
Yeah. And my leaning is theatre. Like my training is mainly theatre, and I do get invigorated by a live reaction.
Right.
But more to my later side of my career. How old am I now? I did like getting involved in screen acting. And I became more involved in that. But out of school, I trained professionally at RADA in 2010, and that was incredible. To be honest, it formulated a lot of today how I approach my acting. There was a teacher down there, I still think he works freelance, maybe even still at RADA as an acting coach. He's called John Biskitzer.
Right.
And he introduced me to the Meisner technique, which you may not have heard of. And that underpins pretty much a lot of how I approach performance even now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because one of my questions are obviously about, because you did two places where you studied, didn't you? You did RADA and then Manchester School of Theatre.
Yeah.
Meisner's one that a lot of people talk about and sometimes maybe bastardised. Do you want to just talk about it a little bit?
Yeah, I can understand why it gets bastardised. Because, I mean, to be honest, the method gets bastardised. For me, I like to cherry pick things and sort of ascertain what works for me. So I can be quite pragmatic in my approach. I know you mentioned on the last podcast about action verbs as well, which
I've got that in my list of questions. Go on.
So, like, that's the sort of theoretical sort of work that an actor should sort of do before they even get on set.
Yes.
As a director, you shouldn't be there handing out action verbs. An actor should know what their objective is for a scene. They should know all that. They shouldn't get on there. Yeah, they shouldn't get on there and go, oh yeah, I was just gonna.
You're antagonising.
I feel on the day, so I don't want to. I just want to. I want it to be organic. Or
your action here is you're more manipulative. It's like, to me, you're going to end up with very one-note performances. Where for me, there's lots of things going on. Like, I could be sitting here right now looking chirpy, but inside I'm like worried about, like, okay, where's my next paycheck coming from, for instance?
Yeah.
And it's like, I worry sometimes.
Internal obstacles.
The action verbs lead to very just one-note, generic, surface-level performances.
Don't get me wrong. Like, you can do stuff like that in rehearsal to see what happens. Like, I really want you to just, for every single line, really go like, you fucking despise this person. But like, it's just a wash. It's not real. It's quite general, but it's a good exercise to do, because quite often people can get into rhythms and they'll get into ways of saying certain lines, and it's a good way to just sort of
break that.
But what action verbs should be doing, it is just that when you're delivering a line, you're always doing something to someone else. Like, even if it's something quite passive, there's a reason why you're being passive. So what are you doing to that other person? So like, I'm blocking you, or I'm deflecting you. I'm avoiding eye contact with you because I don't, it has to be an active participation, hence action. And that, number one, it keeps the actor in the scene, it keeps them playing their objective. It's less likely for them to just fall into a generic wash or an emotion over it, and just play it by rote, like a memory game, just remembering the lines. Because when people don't do those sort of things, that's where the bullshit detector comes in. And when you're watching someone, you're just saying the lines now. And it gets quite obvious. And don't get me wrong, like when you're doing theatre shows, there are times where, for stamina reasons, you sometimes have to do a scene. And you're just like, I'm not
getting it.
I'm just going to get the lines out, move on to the next scene. And quite often you'll get feedback at the end, oh, that scene was great, I cried. It was like, I didn't want to even do it. Which probably says a lot about me, to be honest. But yeah, so that's, I touched on action verbs a little bit there, but like in Meisner method and stuff like that. So for me, Meisner is about listening and responding. It's this figure of eight that you've got going on. There's exercises that you can do within Meisner, like object exercises. The most common one is the repetition exercise, where you say, you could start, say, you're wearing a blue jacket. 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 You found that funny. You found that funny. You're laughing. You're laughing. Is there something funny? And then
funny how? No, good fellas, go on.
But in fact, one of my favourite cinematic sequences, The Master, Philip Seymour Hoffman and Joaquin Phoenix, they do
the interrogation,
this interview, sort of Scientology.
He do? He's trying to gauge his personality, isn't it?
It's a personality test. It's The Master's very quite clearly based on Scientology. But there's this sequence where the two are doing basically the Meisner technique. So if you want to know what it is, watch that. And it's about listening and responding, and to be honest, the bit where Joaquin Phoenix farts, I don't know if that was scripted. If it's not, it's absolutely brilliant, and that underpins the Meisner technique. It's just being alive and working from yourself in a sense that your natural reaction is being triggered. It's instinctive. It's not fabricated. It's not demonstrative. It's a natural, instinctive reaction to the other person and what they're giving you. And that's really liberating to access in a scene, and you'll start to flow. Like once you get that with another, and that's what chemistry is. So like you're on set with another person and you're in that flow, you're just naturally responding and listening. You're not just listening to the lines, you're listening to the person and what they're giving you. Do you know what I mean?
So in what ways do you think it has been bastardised then?
I think I've never actually been to any recent sort of training courses or anything. I think there's, I could have completely misconstrued someone else's comprehension of it right there. Because if you go back
it's what you're getting out of it, right?
Well, this is it. This is the cherry picking. So if you want to go back to its like basic form, you could read, I think it's Sanford Meisner on acting. So that is its basis form, because that's where Meisner technique comes from, Sanford Meisner. So you literally, I mean, I think there's YouTube videos of it. I think he had throat cancer. So he has this, he's got really distinct voice because it's like an electronic voice box. You can see YouTube videos of him in classes doing what the Meisner technique was back then. Right now, I don't know what its current form is in Manchester. Do you know what I mean? Like, it'll have its own sort of... But it's good in a way, because, you know, things shouldn't stay the same. Like, Stanislavski changed his approach to acting throughout his career as a theatre practitioner and an expert in the field of acting. So I think it is good in a way. The one gripe I have about acting techniques is how people bastardize the method and their understanding of what the method is. Because a lot of people think the method should be about, you know, it's all engrossing, you become the person, and nothing else matters. The production doesn't matter, you know, the person next to you, your acting partner, doesn't matter. You treat them as if you're that person. So I don't know how true it is, but one of the most like modern examples of a sort of jarring example of someone deploying the method was Jared Leto in the Suicide Squad with the rats and stuff. Yeah, I don't really know how much truth is held in that, but if that's true, that's actually the opposite of what you should be doing when you method. The idea, if you're deploying method correctly, and Daniel Day-Lewis does it really well, and he talks about this, he deploy method in a way that shouldn't interrupt anyone else's work. It's an approach to work like any other approach to work. You wouldn't want it to interrupt the writer. You wouldn't want it to interrupt the director, your acting partner. It's about your process, and you shouldn't impose that on someone else. And I think people bastardize that more than any other acting technique.
Yeah.
I mean, as well, like, we had an example. I won't name names, but
I'm getting to that.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sort of real. Do you want to?
I know exactly what you're going to talk.
I'm going to put a full stop on that bit, and then we'll go to the next question. Unless there's anything else you want to know about my take on acting technique.
Just while we're on training, obviously there's lots of things that drama school can prepare you for. What do you think it didn't prepare you for? Now you've had experiences years later where you've worked on films, indie films. You've done obviously your work here at Epic Games. What didn't it set you up for? Okay.
Again, I feel like I was quite fortunate, and as much as when I was 18 and I was getting knocked back from drama schools, I wasn't very happy about that. I'm very grateful that I was part of a cohort in 2013 where I was about, how old would I have been then? Oh, time is a flat circle. I would have been mid-20s, like early to mid-20s.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have been fresh out of school. I had a bit more about me. I'd tried to work as an actor for like 3 or 4 years. So when I came to it, I knew what I wanted to get out of it.
Yeah.
I knew what the trajectory was. And I sort of knew the realistic expectations. And I don't think people coming out of school, I mean, this is a generalisation.
Yeah.
People really have done the research. If you're 17, 18 and you go, oh yeah, I want to go to a conservatoire, I want to go to a drama school, you know, I want to get an agent after it, I want to do a third-year showcase, you know. Yes, but what are your realistic expectations when you go out in the wild? When I was at RADA, I was studying with a few people that were already starting up and coming and being established. You know, they'd already done a few bits and pieces.
Okay.
And they're still working now professionally, like on big productions.
Yeah.
Everyone at the School of Theatre was like new, fresh, out of school, sort of bushy-tailed, not really having a sense of direction. Yeah. So I felt I had an advantage in that regard. Now, what it didn't set me up for, and this was because I was at the intersection of quite an important part in, you know, sort of the industry in terms of things like motion capture and you know, modern techniques and stuff like that. So there wasn't anything to do with that. I mean, even screen acting was only vaguely touched on. It was very embedded in theatre, which I didn't mind because I really loved theatre until I got stage fright in one of my third-year plays.
Did you?
Yeah, that was awful. That was, I could go into that.
Was it a panic attack?
Not a bad panic attack, but it was definitely, I panicked and I really suffered through the rest of that performance, and I had to read material and speak with professionals and stuff about how I could overcome it, and it was a really tough period.
What happened there? What play was it?
It was called Welcome to Thebes. I think it was initially put on at the National Theatre. It's like a set in sort of like this fictional African nation but it's over like the guise of like ancient Greece,
Right.
politics. But to be honest, I was quite a small part in it, and to be honest, it's probably why I got caught up in everything. But I remember I had to come on stage, and I was like with a gun, I was like a soldier, and I was talking directly to the audience, like, sit down in your seats, well, you sit down, and I had all these lines, and they were like one after another. It was quick, and then there was a pause, and I was like, why is there a pause? What's going on? In my head.
Really?
And I was like, is it my line? Oh, what's my line? Luckily, Steph, my acting partner in the scene, she picked up one of the next lines, and then I just got back into it.
Wow.
But like that sort of out-of-body experience was absolutely awful.
Yeah.
And it was really, really hard to recover from. Even still now, talking to you about it, I don't enjoy the thought of it.
Yeah.
And it was part of my reason for veering more into film, because I felt like I had a bit more of it sounds weird, but a bit more of a protection blanket.
There's a safety net in there,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
go again.
But then I say that, and then I went on set for a Mike Leigh film, and there's no safety net there.
Preempting, we're definitely going to get to Mike Leigh, because that's a hell of an experience.
Yeah, it was. But yeah, so that.
So what was the next? What was the next show like?
Really hard to get through.
Wow.
I did it, and then I remember I said, I need to speak to someone about this. And the director of the school at the time was David Shirley. He now works in Australia at Perth University. He's a really good practitioner, and he's also given me a lot of opportunities, and I'm forever grateful for that. And he spoke to him, and he put me in touch with someone called Bella Martin, I think her name was. She wrote a book about stage fright. She'd suffer from it, and do you know what? One of the best things about it was knowing that, you know, some of the actors that I really looked up to and were inspired by also suffered from it.
Wow.
And that was like really sort of like, you're not alone sort of thing.
Reassuring.
And then after that, I literally did like exposure therapy, because I went into the Art of Success, which is a play about a famous painter called William Hogarth, historic, and I played William Hogarth, so it was sort of like I was a central role within
Right.
that. And I was on set the whole time. I was scene after scene after scene. It was like in Act 2, there was like 3 scenes where I just wasn't needed, and it was just like catch your breath, costume change, and then straight back in.
Yeah. Do you think it was that time of having to think rather than going into that kind of flow state where you were on stage the whole time? You were having time to think about what you were doing, and it was maybe getting into your head a little bit.
Yeah, I think you're completely right. I think also... it's all right.
Kicking tables.
It's probably... I let myself slip a little bit because I felt a bit more relaxed. You know, I was a bit more like, well, I only have 4 lines. So,
Yeah.
And I've never gone into a production since where I haven't done the same diligence that I would for a role where I'm on it for, you know, a run time of 90 minutes.
Interesting.
If I'm 2 minutes now, I'll do the same amount of preparation, because I just need to feel prepared, and that's how I approach it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my days. So so that was third year.
That was third year.
Third
yeah.
year.
Yeah.
That's not what you need. That's a first year problem, surely.
Yeah. Tell me about it. After the Art of Success,
Because then you're getting close to graduation, right? And you're like...
So we did the showcase after Art of Success, and we got to, it wasn't like doing full-scale productions. You choose the bits that you did, and I chose some really good material, and I was really comfortable with it. There were characters that I really thought would display my range and stuff, and I remember during the... I'm just going to have a quick drink.
No,
I remember
okay.
during the showcase, someone said... Mike and the casting director, Mike Leigh, and the casting director that he works with, what's her name now? It escapes me. But he tends to use the same casting director all the time.
Yeah.
We're in the audience, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Didn't think much of it. I was like, I mean, it is a drama school sort of showcase, but it was kind of like, you know, happen chance.
Yeah.
Like, he was casting for Peterloo at the time.
Oh, was
and
he?
That's the reason why he was there.
Oh, wow.
So that was pretty cool, but I didn't think much of it. And after the showcase, Ziggy Ward, who was my manager for a while, she approached me, and I was represented by Q Management for a short period.
Yeah.
But then, after that as well, I got a phone call, and it was like, Mike wants to see you for an audition.
Wow.
He wants to see you for the upcoming film that he's working on. And trying desperately to keep it cool, and the film was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm sure I can fit that in. Yeah, and that was the start of that chapter, which was, I'll be honest, right? For me, it was like I always compare this to like heavyweight boxing. I always have sports analogies. Okay, When you have like a dream in sight, and it's like I want to be the heavyweight champ.
Yeah.
For me, being in a Mike Leigh film was tantamount to that, because I grew up watching him, his films. I remember being in RADA and being shown aside from Naked, and reading that, I was like, oh, this sounds like a voice that I heard when I was growing up. This sounds like it's about me. It's about working people,
Yeah.
And then I just went down his back catalogue, and then
I didn't realise how close the casting for Peterloo was to graduating. I thought there was like a number of years after that.
No. He has he has such a huge window prior to production, because his process is about, well, everything's like improvised into existence pretty much.
Yeah.
Which is a whole other thing. Because I have a gripe about this, particularly with student filmmakers. We've come on set and they're like, yeah, we're going to Mike Leigh it. We're going to just improvise on day. Do you know how much work goes into actually doing an improvised piece? Yeah. It's not you rock up on the day and we're going to make it up. You've got to do the legwork. And a lot of people, I've been on sets where they're like, yeah, we're just going to improvise this. But it's a glorified improv session. You might as well be capturing whose line is it anyway.
Yeah.
It's not, there's so much work that needs to go into it. And I think a lot of people are a bit deluded when they don't see it that way.
No, I agree totally. I mean, we'll definitely come to Mike Leigh's process.
Yeah.
So the first couple of years out of graduating, what was it like trying to find work and going to auditions?
Awful.
Was it?
Well, I mean, at the time I was young, and I saw that as a challenge, and I liked the challenge. Didn't have any responsibilities. Didn't care about, well, obviously cared about paying the bills, but I wasn't living a lavish lifestyle. I used to eat really clean and go to the gym quite. I was trying to do that now, but I've got kids, so life changes. But I used to just have chicken breast and broccoli like for lunch,
right? And
then it'd be like some like really basic food. So my sustenance levels were really low. I was living in a box in London. It was literally a box. I opened my door and I had to climb onto my bed.
Oh my, you're kidding?
It was literally a box. So the rent was quite big for the box. But
for the box.
But my wardrobe was outside of my room because it couldn't fit in feasibly. But I made do. Because I didn't mind living like that at the time. It was like I was being like a hustler, just trying to get by, and I was mixing with circles of people that were in a similar situation. We were all trying to do the same thing, and I didn't care, and I actually sort of saw the audition as a challenge. I think Bryan Cranston talks about this, like the way he approaches auditions. It's like he approaches it like it's the role.
Right.
So see it as an opportunity to do a preparation for an acting role, and so it was like, it's part of the job. But then after a period of time, it got to a point where, being herded into rooms and, having to parade around for really self-important people, thinking, what they thought was best for you and stuff. It got really degrading. And
really?
Yeah, I started
you got any examples of
that? There was definitely, a number of adverts, auditions. Right. They're a bit like that because it's very much how you look. So you're going through an advert audition, you'll be in a room with like 50 other people that look very similar to you. And you've just got a number on it, and it's very much like herding cattle.
Yeah.
It's not compare it to like a really intimate sort of audition, like with you or like with Mike and stuff. It would have been like a bit of one-to-one, and you didn't break the ice a little bit and get to know them as a creative. Whereas there's just nothing. And I mean, I started to really get quite despondent with the process and not enjoy it, and that outweighed my enjoyment when I did get on set.
Right.
And so the balance was off, and I needed to find something else to sort of, make me happy, because acting started to not do that.
That's a real shame, isn't it?
It is, yeah, but I mean, that's just the nature of the beast.
Yeah.
If you're really hungry for it, and you will fight for it, and you won't give up, and you're uncompromising, I'm sure you'll make it work. But for me, the balance was way off, and I had to take a step back. I mean, when I did take a step back, I still kept a foot in the door. And to be honest, when I kept that foot in the door, the creative stuff that I was doing was cherry-picked for things that I wanted to do.
Okay.
And I would get the most out of them. And I didn't feel that sense of being herded into a room and being seen as a number. It was more like, you know,
So were you kind of doing fringe theatre in London? What were you kind of doing?
So in London, I was lucky enough to be in a play called Emperor and Galilean.
Right.
And at the National Theatre on the Olivier stage.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah, I wasn't.
So not fringe theatre?
No, so that was like the biggest thing that I did down there.
Yeah.
But I wasn't like a main part. I was like a choral member, like a supernumerary character. But I remember Andrew Scott was in that, and Ian McDermott, Emperor Palpatine Star Wars.
Oh, yeah.
He was in that. And I remember watching them rehearse and watching Andrew Scott backstage, and that was an acting class in of itself, you know, just
Really?
watching them craft and how they approached their work. And Andrew Scott is a lovely human being as well, not just an amazing actor. He was so sound with my mum. My mum bought the book when she came to see me, and she was waiting by the stage door to come out, and Andrew came out, and she was like, "Oh, will you sign it?" And he was just so lovely. Where there was proper sound bloke, and he actually did a talk with us at RADA as well. He's such an approachable actor.
Yeah.
I think more people like that in the industry are great. I mean, you know, take what you will from his performances. I think they're great, but as a person, he's really sound, and that was great. But then after that, it was very much, fringe theatre. So like, you know, up and coming writers doing like, I mean, I can't even remember a lot of the stuff. It was very like a lot of vague sort of stuff. It's all a bit of a blur.
When you say an acting masterclass with Andrew Scott and Ian McDermott, what were they doing that you were learning that you that
You
it
wouldn't
felt
get
like a
from-
lesson?
Yeah. So, well, it's preparation. Yeah.
It always is, isn't it, right?
Yeah. So
People think I'm insane for wanting some preparation, but go on anyway, we'll get to me.
Yeah, I think there were two polar opposites actually, because I remember watching Ian McDermott, and he would, when he came on stage, he'd be just like, he could just turn it on like that.
Right.
I think Daniel Radcliffe talks about this about Michael Gambon a little bit. He's like, he
Yeah.
was able to just like switch like that and just turn it on. And
Yeah.
Ian McDermott was a bit like that, and his character was very verbose and Palpatine-esque.
Yeah.
But he was able to turn it on just like that, and I think that's more of an experience thing. With Andrew Scott, it was like watching him. You know, I remember him being backstage and like just the focus in his face. Like he'd be doing warm-ups with his vocal exercises and stuff, and like he'd be running through what he was going to be doing on stage and just going through, because that was a very demanding play for him. But yeah, just watching him in rehearsals, how he approached his work, the preparation he put in, the credence and respect that he put into the material, that was. It's like, well, if I want to be like him, I've got to work as hard as him, sort of thing.
Yeah. So when you say you stepped away, like, was that when you came to Manchester?
No, because I still really wanted to pursue a career in acting. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done 3 years at the Manchester School of Theatre. It was around COVID and post Peterloo.
Was it?
Yeah, that was where.
That's when you stepped away.
Yeah, that was the biggest step away.
Right.
Yeah, I remember it was coincided with the job that I'm currently leaving at the moment. But I got a part in a film, and I also started this job. And it was like, I could go away and do this film, or I could see what happens with this job.
Yeah.
And it was like a branching path moment.
Right.
And it was like a couple of weeks where I was still in my like notice period at work, and you know, I could have left quite easily. And I just remember waking up one morning and going, I don't want to do the film.
Right.
I don't know what it is, but there was something inside me. I was like, I don't want to do the film, and I kind of want to take a break.
Okay.
And I was scared of that voice, because all the way through like my life, it was instilled in me. It's like, you've got to be hungry, you've got to want it. If you're pursuing a career in acting, it's got to be. You've got to be uncompromising approach to it. You know, nothing else can matter. You need to just take the lows with the highs. And I was like, well, this isn't making me happy anymore. So there has to be some sort of trade-off. And that's the decision I came at. I started working here, and then I worked with you over that period.
Yeah.
But it was stuff and I did a music video with a band called Sabaton, and they. Like those pieces were like, I wanted to do them, and actually like auditioning and preparing for them wasn't a chore. I actually
Yeah.
enjoyed it, and I was much freer. I didn't feel like the pressure of having to pay bills or anything like that,
Yeah.
which can seep into an audition when you think, oh, I've got to get this because,
get it.
I've got to pay rent. It was more a case of, I can take this if I want it, and if I don't, then I can leave it. And that was quite liberating.
Yeah, no, I think sometimes having that regular paycheck, so then the stuff you do is for the love of it, the passion of storytelling, conveying something that you really believe in.
Yeah.
Maybe like there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if it's a means to an end, like if I got a payout for like an advert that meant that I could take 6 months doing stuff creatively that fulfilled me, then that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It was just the other side of it that I couldn't reconcile, I guess.
Yeah. So I mean, I met you on the first time I met you was on an audition for an indie film called Cleft Lip, which is on Disney Plus, which.
Is it on Disney Plus now?
It blows my mind that this film's on Disney Plus.
It was on Netflix when it.
It was on
came
Netflix.
out. Yeah.
It's on a few platforms, but it's now on Disney Plus, which blows my head because
Can you
it's
imagine,
it's the least Disney film ever.
I was going to say, like, you just go for a Marvel marathon and your suggested next pick. Cleft Lip. All right, I'll give this a watch.
So I was working on that film in kind of, I was on the camera and assisting the director. Do you remember the audition for that film?
Was there multiple or was there just one?
It was kind of. It
was a group
Do you remember you
audition.
had to improv it was like a bit of an argument scene.
Yeah, so Rebecca was in that and Joe was in that with me, I remember.
Yeah.
And I do remember it. Luckily I went to drama school with Joe, so the ice was already broken with him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
you knew each other?
Yeah, Rebecca was really sound as well. We actually ended up in a scene together.
Yeah.
Because we were a homeless couple on the streets.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
So
that.
you did play one of the kind of main homeless characters.
Yeah.
So when you talk about this prep that you always do, regardless of how big or small the role is, could you talk about preparing for that role? Because there's a few people that I think came out of that film and I was like, I'll work with them again. Obviously, Miranda was one. Yourself as well.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just trying to remember if there's anyone else I met on that film. Oh, we met Keith as well. Keith was another person I ended up working with on X. Who else did I meet? There was a few that I met on that film. I forget anyway, I don't want to offend anyone. But you were one of them as well because you play this role where you're a homeless character and there's a scene where you're asking the main character for some money and I was like, he's really good.
Thank you.
No?
Yeah.
No, but it's like, sometimes on indie, you stood behind the camera, you're like, oh no, they've not nailed that. Whereas you were someone who,
I think on it being indie as well, I thrive in those environments because everything's stripped back. Like you have nowhere to escape. You can't hide behind like a big set piece or extravagant props and all sorts of stuff. Like it is really stripped back. So the acting, the bullshitometer really is in full effect. So you kind of have no escape. You have to do due diligence.
Yeah.
Luckily, the scene that I had with Reese, it was quite short and snappy.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to expect with Reese. Never worked with him before, and I don't know what his approach to acting. We didn't really talk before the scene, so I was just like, do you know what? I'm gonna deliver my lines, and I'm gonna stick to my Meisner roots. I'm gonna see what he gives back to me.
Really?
And I wasn't really sure what would happen.
Okay.
And I just remember feeling like, I don't know, I just remember sort of feeling like I'm not getting much, but that sort of fed into my natural response.
Okay.
So it was like, I don't know, it was just kind of all, like watching what he was giving me fed into how I respond. Because I had no idea how those lines were going to come out. Of course, I'd done my prep work, I'd actioned my scene.
You'd done some,
I never don't action my scripts.
Okay.
So that's always the first thing I do is I'll go through it and I'll action them.
Okay.
So all that prep work was done, and that sort of, it might just feel like a bit of a placebo, but as long as if I know that I'm being specific in a scene, that carries me through quite a lot. Yeah.
I know one thing we talked about after that shoot, and if you don't want to really discuss this, that's fine, but because there was this improv nature to the audition, I remember you said afterwards you were kind of expecting that a little more on set, whereas it became very kind of fixed and there wasn't much room to deviate.
Yeah, well...
How did you come to terms with that discrepancy?
Yeah, so my understanding of, what improv is that it requires, creatives to sit and, develop a scene, actors, develop a character. You sit in this creative environment where you're understanding what it is that you're trying to portray.
Yeah.
And it's not a simple case of like, we just hold the camera up and then you go and you've got some money and you need to give it to this person and you go see what happens. It's not as loose as that. It's like, we might start from that position and then we'll build on it, and the rehearsal room takes hold then, and you sort of going, well, I think that makes sense for this character, and then you sort of build this creative world, and then all of a sudden this scene takes shape from the back of improv. It's not a case of go and we start filming. And so when we got on set, it was like, well, I'm just reading my script now, and the Mike's film, we're never allowed to see any sides. We never see any script because there wasn't one. So that immediate was a bit like, well, this isn't really improv. I think I don't know if I
guess there was, to me, it seemed like there was. That possibly by having people auditioning that way, it sold a different type of filmmaking and experience than what it became.
The thing is,
and it was interesting watching that, because I was yet to make a feature, but you could start, and this is what I mean about when I say to students about experiences, even just doing a full feature that's not your feature, it helps you see like, okay, I can see how that probably wasn't a good idea, because then the homeless characters get to set and they're expecting something that then doesn't happen. And I actually think it did lead to some issues, which, go on, you well, what I was going to say was, so what happened on set was, and I noticed this at the time, so you did I think it was 2-3 days, and by the final one, there was this scene where all the homeless people are together, and they're kind of ganging up on one of the characters. And because the audition involved people being in this argument where they were being overly aggressive and what I would super heightened, and it went to places that I didn't see how it served the script, to be honest, some of them auditions. But there was someone on set that then decided that this was their moment to shine, to the point that it was visible to me on camera. They were trying to, it looked like they were pushing people out of frame, and I didn't realise that this was affecting the actors. But can you just talk about what that was actually doing to you? Because we've discussed it since, and like, you said it was really like, you were pissed off, weren't you?
Yeah, well, definitely. And I think this is one of those, cumulative experiences that made me despise working as an actor, to be honest. It's a bit of a shame, but it is what it is. And
so that contributed?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, things like that don't just happen isolated, like on sets like that. They happen all the time. I mean, you sent me something on Instagram, didn't you, of the Spider-Man background actor? She was like going into full shot with a hand waving around. Like,
there's a meme doing the rounds of, well, it's some behind-the-scenes footage of Kirsten Dunst is looking up at...
That's right,
I think she's looking at Spider-Man and the Green Goblin, and there's some like kids in the background. There's one kid just totally making it about themselves and like they're going again. But there was someone on set who did that, didn't they?
Yeah, pretty much exactly the same as well, just not with a hand flailing around. They were physically barging people out of shot, and I mean, I didn't have any lines, and other actors didn't have lines. It was like it's almost like an encroaching tableau.
Yeah. So you all dominate the frame, don't you?
Exactly. But there was one actor that just seemed to want to dominate more than anyone else, and that was particularly. And it goes back to what I said earlier about like with method acting, like the idea is that you're part of a creative, ensemble, a collaborative experience.
Yes.
Like your work and the way you approach your role should not impact others. As soon as it does that, you're doing it wrong. Yeah. And that's what happened.
Because what I was going to say was like that experience veered into, well, selfish acting, what I call it. So what selfless is what you're saying, where you can have your process, but it's not impacting people where like they don't want to be there. And if you look at that shot, I can see you're just disappearing into the background, like you're just not going through the motions. That's the wrong term, but I can see that.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was by the end of it because I was so despondent. Like, it was the end of the day as well.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just want to wrap on this. And I would hate if I was creating a film for anyone to feel like that on set.
I think it's really bad, and it's a damn shame. And
because Janet and Eric were lovely, and like I will say, like one of my most formative and wonderful experiences acting was working with them as creators on Cleft
so the
Lip.
director and producer.
Yeah, they were so nice, and they've since been in touch with me. I mean, my life's taken a different path, but I will caveat with, I'm sure if they realised my experience, they wouldn't particularly be happy themselves. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's just interesting because we obviously spoke about it later, and I saw it on the night, but I didn't realise just how much it was affecting the other people around, and it's just such a damn shame.
Yeah. So we got through that without mentioning names as well.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting good at this interviewing now. So this week, my goal for this week is to be less excitable, because a few people say like you're jumping in all the time, so I'm trying to prevent myself. That. You don't mind?
Yeah. I get to a point where I'm like, I've been talking way too long.
No, it's okay.
I'll listen to myself waffle.
With that though, so there is this thing that I've seen where, and I'm going to just ask your opinion on it, where some actors mistake doing more for doing better.
Yeah, that's the wrong way to look at it.
Yeah.
Doing is good.
Yeah.
Doing is very good. If you're live in a scene, that's excellent. In fact, if you ever watch Ocean's 11, there's like a parody online of Brad Pitt's character just always eating something.
Yeah.
And like, I think it's a bit absurd, but in a way, it keeps him live in the scene. He's always engaged in that environment, because in the environment is the apple. In the environment is the sandwich. So it's like, the doing is good, but doing more for the sake of doing more is not. But equally, I find now I have a bit of a disparity with this, because people find that doing less and trying to be really like still and like almost falsifying a stillness is like is going to be more brooding or more sort of engaging. But in fact, like you're automatically giving yourself a stimulus that's artificial. Just try and disengage with that and be sort of like a neutral canvas and just let yourself be receptive to what's going on.
Yeah.
We spoke about this briefly, but you've seen Project Hail Mary. There's a scene in that where he gets told that he's basically going into space whether he likes it or not, and they're going to drug him and put him out.
Yeah.
So Ryan Gosling's a great actor. I mean, that film's going to be, it wouldn't be what it is without him in it.
No.
But there's a point where he's
Incredible.
like, no, you're not doing this. And he jumps on like a sideboard.
Yeah.
That is Ryan Gosling instinctively reacting as Ryan Gosling, as the character, if that makes sense. It's like a natural response that only he would have done. Like, it wasn't like artificial. But he's renowned for his stillness. He even jumped on a sideboard. Like, he's not. People just pigeonhole as this like of a Drive, Blue Valentine. I mean, even Blue Valentine, he's quite animated.
He is. I think like people have. Because I did a video and an essay on this, and I think again people take the wrong lessons from it. That it's like I've never encouraged anyone to do nothing.
Yeah.
But it's like sometimes you've got to understand that like if a camera's up in your face, then there's parameters within there you've got to work in,
100%.
and it's the specific context of, I'm kicking that table of a scene, isn't it? Yeah. And what's needed in that moment, because it cuts to a wide shot there, doesn't it? And it's almost comical when you see him. Almost, I mean, obviously it's awful what's happening to him, but him jumping up, it's almost comical.
I laughed out loud. Yeah.
He's brilliant, and like. I worked with someone once and they said he wasn't a good actor, and I thought, well, my opinion of you and your taste has just gone down because it's like, if you're saying that, I don't really
It's categorically wrong.
It's just so wrong. It's like there's a beautiful moment in Blue Valentine where he goes to see his wife at work, and she comes out and she's like being pleasant but they've had a massive row prior to this, and he's like, oh, this is where the smiles happen, and it's so real, and it's like the way he delivers it, and it's like brilliant. And that level of realism is always something I'm aspiring to. But anyway, I guess we'll get on to...
We could talk scene by scene on Blue Valentine if you want.
100%. I should do a full episode on that. It's
you should do a director's commentary, even though you weren't the director.
Even though I didn't direct it.
There's definitely an audience for that.
So, Mike Leigh and Peterloo, obviously, this is kind of a huge credit. And you've spoke a bit about the fact that he was at your showcase. After that, what was the audition like with him? Or what? Go on, do you want to talk me through it? Because I think people are going to love to hear about this.
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
He's got such a unique filmmaking approach, hasn't he?
Yeah, and it's a dying breed. I don't think anyone quite does it like him, or will in the future, just because the way the industry's going, where the money's going, and everything. So,
well, he's talked about how difficult it's become to fund projects.
Yeah,
like they won't invest in this type of approach anymore.
Yeah, because he doesn't come with a lead actor and a script fully fledged. Like, here we go. This is what I'm selling. It's like, I've got an idea. I've got a notion, for one of it.
Nice.
Yeah, plug in for you. So, and it's hard. That's a hard sell for someone that wants to return multi-millions on a project. So, but his process, So I still love thinking about that audition day to this day. It was great. I remember it's in the offices in Soho. I went up. There was a couple of people, I think, in front of me, and then it was just a case of going into the room. His assistant took me in, and it was just him in this sort of studio room on top of some shops in Soho, and he had props and stuff on the side. I'm trying to paint the scene here, so you get a bit of context. We had newspapers, glasses, cigarettes, ashtrays, just a whole lot of props just on a side table as I walked in, and some sofas, and I sat on the sofa and we were just having a chat. He chatted about me, my parents. I think he had I don't know what it was, but he was really interested in people's backgrounds.
Okay.
I think one of the main things for him was that he was making a film about working people in Manchester, Greater Manchester area, and he wanted that to be reflected in the talent that he acquired for the piece, for want of a better term. So, I told him I was from Huddersfield, West Yorkshire, originally trans-Pennine relation, and of course, that whole region was impacted by this period in history. If you don't know anything about it, it's a great period of history for working class people. It's about people getting the right to vote. I was playing a blanketeer, which was part of a movement that were basically upset about not having the right to vote. There was, I think it was either a precursor or it was post-Luddism, which was about destroying the mills, which links into AI recently. That's another branch. But anyway, we had I got cast as a character that was a blanketeer. Anyway, back to the audition. I go in there and we talk a little bit about me, my past and stuff. And then he says, right, I want you to imagine someone that you know, okay? And I had this person in mind. I won't say who it was. And we talked about this person. I was like, he's a great person. He's a writer. He's a musician, and I know him quite well. I know what he would be like. I know his mannerisms. And he was like, well, let's. I want you to be him. And I knew instinctively, I would have to do something.
Yeah.
Because. And I don't mean demonstratively, I'm going to sing a song for you, Mike. It was I have to give myself a scene objective and a purpose for being this character in this given moment. Because, there's a whole other thing, but we're never not doing something. You could be sat down passively watching TV, drinking a cup of tea, but you're always doing something. Your mind's engaged, So I gave myself this objective to write a song. So I took a notepad and a paper from the sideboard, and then I just started being this person and just deciding what would he do here, and the window is open. I looked over the window, and I remember writing stuff down and going, it doesn't make fucking sense, and throwing it and stuff, and just then I pick up a cigarette and I start smoking it because he smoked. I took off my shoes and socks because I was like, why am I wearing shoes? I was just like, do you know what? I'm just going to be this person. I'm just going to go for it. And I really just went, you know what? I'm not going to hold back. You might find that it's too much or whatever. But it's if I'm going to be this person, I'm going to be this person. So I just kind of went for it. And eventually I think he told me scene or stop or whatever. and then I think we had a brief discussion about it, and it was just before I was going into rehearsals for Art of Success, and he pointed me to the art gallery where William Hogarth's paintings were on display. We sort of like debriefed after it, really friendly, sort of amicable. It was great, and I was like, "Is that it?" And I was like, "Yeah." Oh, mate, I think he was like, I didn't want to read too much into it, but he was like, "Yeah, well, I'll see you soon." And I was like, "What did he just say? Like,
soon?
Does that mean like But I didn't read into it. Is that just him just said? And months went past after that.
Did it?
Yeah.
Oh wow!
And I think
Did you let go?
Yeah, sort of. I think they actually went into rehearsals or production or some, but I mean, it was such a long sort of lead into it. So I was like, oh, they've cast it. I haven't got anything. And actually, I think I heard, because it was such a big piece, I actually heard other people had been cast, like Roomies and stuff like that. It's got parts in it. So I was it's settled. It is what it is. And then I was in Manchester, Market Street, got a phone call. It was my agent. And she went, are you free to talk? And I was like, yeah. She said, are you sure? Do you want to sit down? I was like, why would I want to sit down? It was like, the casting director for Mike's films got in touch. They want you to be in the film. And I'm just like losing my shit in the middle of Manchester.
I bet that was incredible, wasn't it?
Yeah, and this was months after the audition. I was like, oh, fuck, Like, the thoughts that are going through my head, like, number one, you have to remember that this was a big dream for me to be in a Mike Leigh production. So it's like heavyweight. I'm realising something that I've always dreamt of doing. And and then number two is like, what's going to happen next? I was like, just don't get carried away. Just don't get carried away. Let's just focus on the here and now.
Yeah.
And then we got into rehearsals, and I met my two scene partners that I worked with a lot on the set and stuff.
Yeah.
It was great. Yeah.
So let's talk about that process, like that rehearsal process, because that's where the film's kind of found, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
100%.
like when you're talking about students having this idea of, we'll just improv it, like let's really discuss like what that looks like.
Okay. So the bedding of Peterloo as well is a historical.
Yeah.
So it's got context to it that's, it has to be historically accurate.
Yeah.
We were in rehearsal rooms where the historian was sat there the whole time, and she would pick us apart, and she would like say, no, they wouldn't have said that back then. Or
really?
She would check us on
That's
our historical
incredible.
accuracy and stuff like that. So it was like you had to do your due diligence. Like I was going to like the People's History Museum and John Ryland's library and reading all this archaic material from the time period. I remember I came across some information directly relevant to my character, who was John Johnston, a Blanketeer, and it was like discussions and letters that he'd had when he was in prison, and like about he had a child and stuff. I mean, that isn't delved into in the film in any way, shape or form, but it applied to me.
Yeah.
We would sit for like hours in a room just discussing information that we'd seen, read, share it with our scene partners, Mike and the historian. So there was that aspect of it. Then there was creative aspects of it where Mike would either put us in improv situations, like say like you're in a tavern together, you've finished a shift, and he'd literally sit behind a screen with a little peephole in it. And he would just say, just be, and you'd be there for like hours.
Would you?
Yeah, just like literally just going over
just
like
in the tavern.
Yeah,
for hours.
Yeah, or like you would like he had a whole office space booked out, so it would say that this is the plaza or this was the town centre.
Yeah.
And like you might hop up at a soapbox or something and do a speech, try and rile up the people, interact with people, get to know people in character and stuff.
Okay.
And this really abstract because you're in an 20th century office space.
Yeah.
And you're just trying to make believe.
Pretending you're back in the day.
Yeah, and there was, because you were in it for so long.
When you say so long, do you want to give some dates? Like, how long are we talking?
So my rehearsal period of intense rehearsals was probably about a 4-week window.
4 weeks.
But that was day in, day out.
Yeah.
And bear in mind how many people were in the cast. And I was in 4 scenes, I think.
Yeah.
And so like the lead...
you have got like a couple of big monologues though, haven't you?
Yeah, so I was like an orator, so like a lot of mine is like speeches.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's a whole other thing.
So when you say there's no script, you've got 4 weeks though. How do you know what you're going to be doing on the day then? When does that get locked in?
So we had like a framework. So I remember we get taken on site to like the area where we'll be filming. Well, the first set was like, I don't know if you've seen it.
I've seen the film.
So there's a bit where we're out in the open. There's like a barn behind us. It's on, so that's somewhere.
Everyone meets on like a hill, don't they?
Yeah. So that's in somewhere in Burnley. So I remember we got driven out there and we stayed at a hotel, and then we had a meeting in the morning, like a production meeting, and Mike would outline what was going to be happening. And bear in mind, we knew what happened historically, so we knew the checkpoints.
Yeah.
So we knew what would possibly be hit upon and what was important for the plot.
Right.
So he would say, like, well, we're going to do like one of the first sort of speeches where they sort of incite rebellion, so to speak, where they insinuate that something might kick off.
Right.
You know, you've got these special police constables that are on site, they're monitoring. You've got the working class people. It's the fledglings of an uprising, and we'd get that as a framework. But then that was probably about it, and he would trust in us that we'd come on set with the preparation, that we knew how they would speak to people. We knew how they would dictate their oratory. Like he never monitored it. He never said, well, tell me what you're going to do before we get on set. He was like, he just trusted that when we got on set, and he said, right, let's see what happens, that things would sort of take shape from the rehearsal process. Like, don't forget, we'd done.
So you'd done these 4 weeks, and that's where you do most of his directing there, where he's making the suggestions there.
Yeah, but it's not in scene. It's very much about building the character. So like, I would be on a soapbox doing a speech, and we might debrief after it, but it was very much like he facilitated a space for us to discover what it was that we were going to do, and then on set it was like, right, let's go and see what happens. First run, you know, just to see what you might say, see what comes out. And I'd done all the work, so I knew when I got up, I knew what I wanted to say as the character. It was kind of instinctive, you know. I think I said fellow countrymen is my first line. And then things just started coming into my head. Like, I remember John Johnston saying this about, fellow, like our French brethren and stuff like this. And it just all started coming back to me. And the character that I built was, because of the historical context, was someone that was quite violent, you know, and he was quite an agitated person, and he really wanted to instill violence. So I lent into that, and we'd piece it together, and then we'd come back after doing that sort of run through, and Mike would be like, I like that, keep that in, and occasionally he'd be like, I think you dropped this bit, can we bring that in? And then you yourself have to remember what you've done. So you can't just go to the side of the AD and go, can you remind me what I said?
Yeah.
You have to remember, as you're going, as you're piecing it together, what you're bringing to the table, and then it sort of like organically comes into fruition. But that's not like roll the camera, here we go. That's 4 weeks prep. Yeah. Getting on set, starting to build the scene. Yeah. Before the lighting set up, before anything. And then, go. Sorry, I've waffled.
No, you haven't. Honestly, it's fascinating stuff, and I've got so many questions about this in particular, because it is such a unique approach, isn't it? Yeah. Did he ever give a note that completely changed your thinking, or is he very much like, you're in charge of this role and I'll just guide you where need be?
No, I do remember once though. It was towards the end of the production. Yeah. And it still sticks with me today. He said. I think it was more like a debrief at the end, because I wasn't going to be on set again. He was like, have you ever thought about going into theatre? And I was like, are you joking? You do know I'm a theatre actor.
Have you thought about theatre? I've been thinking about it for like 20 years.
Yeah, have you got any jobs? And I think I overthought that for quite some time after that. It's like, do you think I was too much? Did I try too hard? I think
when you said that then, I didn't read it that way, but I could see how you might get in your head about that comment.
Yeah, especially coming from someone that I really looked up to, and I really wanted to sort of do a good job for him. Yeah. And it wasn't, I'm sure it wasn't an absolutely benign comment.
Were you nervous going into each day, knowing that, because he is such a huge figure in British film, isn't he?
Yeah, and my way of handling my nerves is to be quite facetious and like jokey and like break the ice and not lean into the awkward seriousness at all. And I remember, I think it was a joke as well, but I hope it was. We were on set, and he, between takes, or it was lunch or something, and he went, your facetiousness is undermining this whole production. And I think he said it as like a joke, but with Mike you never know.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I was like, okay, I better rein myself in a little bit.
I mean, it's quite incredible though that he's trusting the actors to bring these characters without a script. How did you track? Because because you have these big speeches in film, we want like some sort of escalation, don't we?
Yeah.
Was that something that you then had to be mindful of? That okay, when he finally does his final speech, this character, it's got to be bigger and not bigger, but
Yeah.
there's got to be more to it, more empowering than the previous one. Or was that not something in your mind at all? You're just like, these are just a chance to do a couple of great monologues.
To be honest, as well, when we shot, I wasn't sure how linear the shooting schedule was, so I wasn't sure what order things would be put together in the cut.
Oh, really?
I think it was sort of divulged to me, but
Right.
at the time I was like, this is such a grand project.
Yeah.
I don't know if we're shooting in sequence or what, but I don't think we did, just because of how big the project was
Yeah.
and how many other actors he had to work with and the sets that he had to go to, because it wasn't his run-of-the-mill sort of situational drama where
No.
he's like inside one house.
Yeah, exactly.
It was very sprawling. It was across the country. But keeping track of that. Luckily, within the scene,
Yeah.
we had a dynamic between us three. There's three of us, the Blanketeers.
Yeah. You're kind of leading the.
Well, it's not for us. It wasn't that. So for Danny and Nico's like the ringleader. He was quite tempered, and his character was like the one that sort of was the spearhead of us.
Yeah.
And he was very bridging that line between not being too insightful. And then it did escalate to me being the one that was like all out war sort of thing. So there was
Right.
that natural sort
Okay.
of, that was something that we lent towards. And to be honest, like the sentiment on like within the narrative is that like maybe this guy should tone it down a little bit. It was going to get us into trouble here.
And was that something that you came up with or Mike came up with?
It was the historical context of
okay.
it, yeah. So they did eventually. They weren't at the Peterloo massacre, so they eventually.
'Cause your character ends up in jail, doesn't he?
Yeah, and it's because of that insightful, radical candor, and it was a bridge too far. So we got put in prison. But yeah, that trajectory. I remember being on one of the sets thinking like, how can I top the last one?
Yeah.
Like that was quite. Like I got to quite an elevated area, and it was like I was ready to go fight, sort of thing. So, and then, to be honest, that fed into the scene. And then I think I rush out of the door in frustration. Actually, sort of storm out of the room, and it was like, why aren't these people getting with me? It's
okay.
That's the sense that I had. I was like, oh.
And was that just happened on the day?
Yeah. We had no idea. That particular scene, I know Mike wanted to get one thing abundantly across. There was a thing about petitioning to the king, which was a very historical plot point. Like it had to be mentioned that we were going to petition the king, because that was something that was very historically significant at the time. So he, like, out of all the direction, he was very adamant that we mentioned that at some point.
Okay.
And we sort of built the speech around that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how many days? So you've done the 4 weeks rehearsal. How many days were you then on set?
Yeah.
How many did you do on that?
So it would have been about, I guess about 2 weeks at a time.
2 weeks, yeah.
We filmed like in different spots. So we filmed in Gainsborough, we filmed in Burnley, we filmed down south in Kent. That's where the jail was. And I think that was about it for me. But it was all over. Like very little actually in Manchester, because obviously you can't really.
It doesn't really
doesn't look like that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can imagine that was probably a sense coming off that, like, it's maybe not getting any better than this, is it? Because you're doing exactly what you wanted to do.
100%. And talk about the cumulative factors of what made me sort of fall out of love with acting. I can't put it more elegantly than that, because I still love acting.
Yeah.
And I still do it, but it's more a case of like I said, the ecosystem, the world around it that I've become disenfranchised with. That fed into it, and this probably not particularly appropriate or really elegant way of putting it, but Tyson Fury, after he won his first heavyweight title, I think it was a Joe Rogan podcast. It was some podcast. He talked about how he had suicidal thoughts and stuff like that, and he spoke about like he'd attained what he wanted.
Yeah.
And it was like, what now? What? And I think a lot of sports people in particular suffer from that. They'll attain their dream, what they've set out for, at a very young age. Because remember, like sports people, like they retire early. You know, the career's not as long as someone who's like working till they're 60, 70. So they'll attain their dream at the top of their game, and then it's like, what now? I've not thought about what happens next. And I think I hit that in a way. Like, I'm not saying I didn't make it as a Hollywood A-list, but it was like I had realistic expectations of what maybe I could do in my life. And one of the top things was to be in a Mike Leigh film. Like, could I actually get to that level? You spent 4 weeks with him, working through these workshops.
Yeah. Like, because I remember we chatted about that loads, that you were saying, like, sometimes you're all just in a room walking around, and then he'd say, if you feel like talking, talk.
Yeah.
Like, that's such an interesting exercise. What did you get out of that?
That was good because it fed into, like, you know, breaking down barriers with other actors and stuff, like whereas like on set, if you meet someone for the first time, you've got to like break down that
small talk,
a bit of chemistry. But like by the time we were filming, it was like we're all like a little brotherhood sort of thing. Like, so it did that, and also like I do adhere to some ideas of the method. Like I will spend like an hour, I will dedicate an hour sitting as the person, like brushing my teeth, shaving as the person that I'm playing, because I feel like there is merit to that. And he facilitated that in a way as well. You couldn't drop out of character. You couldn't just go, oh, Mike, can I just go for a wee as Johnny now? You know, you had to piss as the character. Do you know what I mean? So there was that element to it that was really good. But there was one exercise that still, like, it was just like a sort of like he would sit as quietly in a room and he would say a word, and it was sort of like what a therapist would do is like, what does butterfly do? He'd just say a word like rectangle. Butterfly, but you have to be your character. And it's like, well, what does that mean to that person? And I had this whole backstory that he was a merchant sailor, a journeyman tailor at one point and stuff. So I was like, when he said butterfly, my mind was veering off, and I had to make sure that it was the character thinking that and not Johnny, which was a really good exercise. I actually found that quite useful, because it was like, because it is quite hard to stay in the character.
Separate yourself.
I mean, we're going like spiels here, but like there's a part of you that doesn't know that you're acting. And so like if you're doing a really heightened scene and you go away, you suffer from that. I mean, I spoke with my wife times, like when I've been doing shows and stuff, she's like, this has changed you a little bit, and I know that, I acknowledge that, and I'll come back from doing a day's worth of rehearsal playing a really abhorrent character, and it's fed its way into my sort of psyche a little bit. And I'd be like, I don't know why I'm being like that. It's subconscious. You don't really, and it's dangerous. It's dangerous if you don't acknowledge it and realise what's happening. Definitely. Sorry, I just got on the tangent.
No, it's really interesting. I'm sure, like, if they're not interested in this, I don't know why they're listening. But like,
sorry, it's an independent filmmaker podcast. It's all about acting this way. I'm sorry.
No. I said before we came on, like, this is totally about giving an actor a platform as well, because obviously Will asked last week about, he worries that the perception is that I have no time for actors.
I've come to dispel that myth. Mark can work with actors.
It's crazy because
and actors want to work with Mark.
Like the people who work with me, like, they always say they've had a great time, and it's like, I don't know. It's one of them things. Maybe social media just gives people the wrong end of the stick, and I don't know. One thing I was going to talk to you about after that, because obviously it is a huge come down, and I don't know the exact timeline of this, but then you did make a short film of your own, didn't you? You were like really determined to do a bit of directing. Was that before or after?
After.
Yeah. Was that something you'd always wanted to do? Did it come out of frustration with acting work that you thought, okay, is there another avenue for me to be creative and do my thing? And how did you change your perspective of directors that you'd worked with previously?
Okay.
Big question.
No, but it's like that sort of thing. I had all those thoughts. Do you know what I mean? I had all those thoughts. I was coming off the back of the film with Mike, seeing his process and going, people don't make films like this anymore. I want to have a go at like making a short in that sort of vein. The other one was like, I'm not getting auditions. I'm not sure what's next for me.
Yeah.
You know, you hear stories about people creating their own work and stuff like that. And also, I'd always wanted to dabble with directing. I directed theatre and had really good experience doing that, but never directed screen. And it was a completely new skill set that I'd never really explored. What was the last bit about directors?
Well, did it change then when you were in that process of working with actors? Did it help you reflect on what you'd experienced with directors? Did you have a new perspective on that dynamic between director and actor?
Yeah. I mean, I'd never explored it before, so it was completely novel to me. Luckily, I'd cast 2 actors that they went to the same drama school. They were a year above me.
Yeah.
It was Jordan Dawes and Kane Power, and they played half brothers in it. And I had an idea of the story that I wanted to tell, but I didn't want to write a script, and I didn't want to tell them how to build their characters.
Yeah.
I wanted to have them work on that. And I think I basically just said to them, like, you're half brothers, one of you's suffering quite badly with suicidal thoughts, and the other one doesn't know about it, and that's all I'm going to give you. And then we worked independently with separately. And so the other actor had no idea what they were doing.
Wow.
And then we started to rehearse and improvise a scene that I didn't know what was gonna happen, and I just let them play. And then we went back over it, and we sort of did the Mike Leigh thing. We just sort of built layers and layers of it until we had something in place. But yeah, in terms of like my opinion of directors, I think it's a very hard thing to do. Luckily, I feel like I felt like I had an understanding of how an actor would be.
Yeah.
So in terms of engaging with the actors, I felt like I had a bit of an upper hand in that.
Yeah.
Where I was out of my depth was stuff like sound, lighting, positioning the camera. Like, I've not been to film school.
No.
I actually brought someone on set that was going into film school. I worked with at the National Football Museum. There's a bit of like a helping hand.
Yeah.
But like, I was really out of my depth, and I didn't enjoy that at all.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't enjoy that aspect of it.
Yeah.
So that's just the blunt truth.
No. I mean it's interesting, isn't it?
It's such a hard job being a director. There's a reason why people go to film school and take years to get good at it. You know, it's not a.
So, I mean, it's interesting what you say about the camera, because I think sometimes like there is so many other considerations in it, and I think like people like Mike Leigh, they have these crews that can handle some of that, and they can concentrate on working just with the performance. It's what Will was saying last week about like having someone else that you can delegate to it's helpful in many ways. And
so Mike works with the same DOP all the time.
Yeah.
He's like he's like appendage of him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's like, I know I'll leave him to do that because I know he's going to do the right thing.
Yeah.
I just focus on what this performance is going.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of director I would be. But I was limited in that. I had 2 people on set. I remember I used the condenser mic on a boom pole because I didn't have lav mics or anything like that. So the sound was quite, like, it was windy on the day. So that was, I never let it reach the light of day. It wasn't about...
I've seen it, I remember you sent it me.
I might have sent you it. So I think I shared it to personal people that, you know, I respected their opinions.
Did you get what you wanted out of that experience, though?
100%, yeah. And to be honest, like, I think you mentioned it last week, like, it's a bucket list thing.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm writing my play. I've got a manuscript in my loft for a play that I've written.
Yes.
Don't think I'll ever put it on, but it was definitely a bucket list thing, and I'm glad that I did it.
Yeah.
100%. Like, 'cause I couldn't have gone my whole life going, could I have even done a short film?
Yeah.
I know a feature might be a bit out of my depth, but surely I can try a short film, and I've done it. So, yeah.
No, I mean, respect, and like, so many people are worried about perfection that they never get going.
I mean, I am. And I think because of that, I forced myself to do it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I wouldn't have done it.
No.
It was a limitation. It was like, I knew that I'd want to get everything perfect, but in the same time, I knew that I couldn't.
Yeah.
And I was just like, do you know what? You just have to do it.
Yeah.
Commit something to film and then just do it.
So how long? So if you did 4 weeks on the feature, how long did you do building this short film?
Literally like a weekend.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it was like a weekend thing because it was all set in a cemetery, so it was all set in one place. So we spent Sunday afternoon, I think it was. Again, the cloud coverage and stuff that I wouldn't have had any idea of how to handle because, you know, I've not got that depth of experience. I remember that being the wind and everything. But yeah, Friday, I remember we booked out a space, and Saturday we booked out a space, and those were like we're going to build something here.
Yeah.
Then by Sunday, we'd had the scene, so we knew what was going to happen. And then it was just, capturing it and deciding where, because I didn't scout the location out beforehand. Like I lived near, it was Southern Cemetery. You know where it is on Princess Street?
I know where it is, yeah.
So it was there.
That's where my mum's dad's buried, yeah.
There you go. Yeah. I actually did reach out for permission to film there, and I don't know if they got back to me and were very vague on it, but I was kind of just prepared to just go there and shoot and see if anyone told me not to. And they didn't, so we got away with it. Kind of just...
Ask for forgiveness, not permission.
Exactly. Yeah. 100%. So yeah, that was to be honest, I'm really glad that I did do that. And yeah.
I mean, so we've worked together a few times now. We are going to get to Epic Games for the people just tuning in for.
How long are we going? I feel like we're waffling for ages.
We're not waffling for ages. This is good stuff.
Yeah.
So with me, we've now. I mean. Part Cleft Lip because obviously I wasn't the director, but us two working together where it's been a film that I've made. You've done Simon, you've done Luke, you've done Dino. Now in X, Simon he's a bit of comedy relief, especially next to Terry's darkness, isn't he?
Yeah.
How do you gauge comedy in something like that? Because you'd watch Step, so you had a sense of like the kind of tone that I like in cinema.
Yeah. I think we kind of bonded over that, to be fair.
Over the short film Step. Yeah,
well,
I think
no,
we will.
and just generally our taste for what we want out of like the human experience and the personal relationships and stuff. I prefer watching films about that.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that hit me in the feels.
I remember because we actually had a bit of a bonding moment over Step because like you then said like you'd had a similar childhood experience because it was kind of based on my childhood experience and you realise someone else has had the exact same that human
experience.
Experience, those universal themes that like I'm always aspiring for. So with something like X with Simon, because contrary to popular belief or internet belief, I think people think I sit there like a maniac. I let you kind of do what you want with Simon, didn't I?
Yeah. To be honest, coming on set, I was at the right level of nervous, like you would be. You want to do a good job, but I also knew that you had expectations of what an actor how they should be prepared. Yeah. But I know that I'd done the work, so it was just a case of like trusting that I'd done it, and I was sort of in the back of my mind like, am I matching the tone of this piece?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm going a bit too far, but then, like at the same time, it seemed to be working, and and it was like I was working off the other actors in the scene. I remember in the bar.
Yeah, the bar.
And there was a cutaway where you were just like, "Can you just chat for a bit?" Like, just to get some sort of like flesh out the scene a little bit. Wasn't it? You can explain what you were doing.
Well, I actually love this. This is a great example of like someone who is prepared, because rather than just you just chatting absolute shit that is of no service to any filmmaker. So we're cross-cutting Terry having a chat with Sam, with you trying to chat up Lucy.
Yeah, that's right.
And initially I was just going to take some of the audio so you hear it in the background, but what you ended up doing was so humorous that I keep cross-cutting then. And what you did was, I don't know, I did start laughing behind the camera because it's so good. Your chat-up line is basically guessing someone's star sign.
That was right, I remember now,
You're like, Sagittarius, Taurus, and you just go through this list. It's so humorous. So then I do cross-cut because Terry's having quite, not a deep chat, but they're getting a bit more, discussing their likes and their, like, what their interests are, whereas you're just literally like chatting about guessing someone's star sign as if that's proof.
Trying to chat someone up, isn't he? And I think, that's sort of my bread and butter though. Like I do enjoy improv, and I feel like I have a sort of a skill set that it lends itself to that, and it felt natural for this guy. He would have a repertoire of really bad chat-up lines that he would deploy, and this was one of them. And it sort of worked for that, because I mean, I was playing my objective. I was trying to get laid. Do you know what I mean? Like the whole thing is him about like, oh, you don't want to dwell on that person, just on to the next one, over the bin, sort of thing. So that's his philosophy. So I just lent into it, and because you'd done the work beforehand, that sort of thing should be easy to do. Yeah. I mean, it could have, I could have said stuff that was like, oh, we can't use that, but that's how improv works. You sort of build and build and build.
And do you know what? You're someone who makes it so easy in terms of, I can do multiple takes because you know it inside out. And what was good was when your character needs to be more serious, and there's a bit afterwards where you have a bit of a disagreement in the studio.
In the studio, yeah.
Yeah. And then it is totally different in terms of tone. Like, it's not just all laughs and shits and giggles. Like, well, it's casting the right people, isn't it? It's like what Will was saying last week, getting people that you know can do the work, and then it ends with you phoning Terry while he's on his little trip in London, and finally you're with Lucy, and it's like, it starts off with you trying to be like understanding, like, hope you're all right, mate, and then it's like, now let me tell you about what I'm up to. So I guess, like, so we worked together on X, and then you're kind of one of the main characters after. So there's Terry, Andrea, Jen, and yourself, and then Mike.
I didn't think my part was going to be that big at the start.
Yeah.
Was the scene where I get into bed with Lucy? Was that
in the script?
Okay, all right. Okay.
Yeah, it's in the
script.
Did read it.
I swear. Read the script. I swear I read it. Jeez, you nearly caught me out there.
I know you'll see me getting the whip. You didn't read the script, and then obviously I gave you this role in Notion, where you're playing this character called Dino.
Yes.
And then what happened was that collapsed in 2022.
Yeah.
And you'd booked the day to shoot this scene that you're in. Mm-hmm. And some of the conversations in Blurred Lines where Miranda's talking about her disappointments around a project falling through, it was inspired by some of the conversations I was having with people like yourself, with Simon Jennings, where everyone was just like, this is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Like that the actors have just decided not to do that. You laughed. When I told you that it had been cancelled.
I was wondering, where have you got these people from?
Well, I thought I'd done my due diligence.
Yeah.
I thought I'd put, like Miranda says in the film, I thought I'd done all the right things where we'd self-taped, we'd auditioned, we'd gone through what the process was going to be. It'd be the equivalent, like to me, if I want an actor to be intimate with the script, like it'd be like the equivalent of you getting the Peterloo role and then saying, right, I'm not doing them 4 weeks rehearsal. You sign up to something, right?
Yeah.
Like if you then said, no, I'm not doing that. It's like, well, you are doing it or we don't do it.
Yeah.
So then it kind of ended up with me saying, right, well, Johnny, keep that day free. We're going to shoot something else. I've not got it yet. And you end up playing Luke in a dream sequence. Now, how do you perform something that's kind of ambiguous or kind of clearly not real?
Yeah, that was a challenge, and it's probably the most sort of serious sort of stuff that I've done with you.
Yeah, it is.
The source materials.
You're really serious, and it's really a heartfelt sequence.
Yeah, and I think as well, I put a pressure on myself, thinking, all right, he knows that I've got acting chops in terms of like comedy, and I can deliver that way. Like, what's he going to think of my straight acting? You know, oh gosh. There was a sense of that. I don't know why I care so much about what people think of me, but I do. I guess, that's
probably what Will said last week. Like sometimes they just want to be loved, don't they?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's an argument to say that everyone's seen objective in life is to find love and be loved. But that's a philosophical question. So this scene.
Blurred Lines.
I remember. Well, Miranda's great. Anyway, she gives a lot back. So that speaks for itself. It's quite refreshing when you have a scene part that you know is going to be as invested as you. Yeah. Because then it's kind of effortless. Because you just keep you give what you want to affect that other person, and you know you're going to get something back. And there's a relief in that. There's sort of like you can settle a little bit easier. So as soon as we'd started doing the lines, it was just I sort of fell into it. There's a Roxy Music line in that. I remember that being like a trigger for me to go listen to Roxy Music, and like that shaped a lot of feelings towards that for some reason.
Really?
I just had like this period where I was listening to Roxy Music for that character. And it sort of fleshed out this, relationship that never happened in real life, but it was like it gave it gravitas for me. And when I got into the scene, I was like, I'd fabricated memories and a relationship.
Because it's kind of a big reveal within the context of the full film, because we realise that Miranda's frustrations come out the fact that she's trying to make this film based on personal experience, and when you're doing that and you're bearing your soul just for people to be kind of a bit flippant about how they're approaching it, because you're playing basically the real life Ricky. So David's character Ricky is being all flippant about what's happening, and then we see this dream sequence between the real life lovers and their kind of sense of loss and regret, and even like there's this brief moment where we see you holding your own baby, isn't there?
Yeah, Athena's first acting credit.
First role. So Miranda has a flash of you, her ex, with this baby, and like that stirs so many emotions, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I was probably quite raw and quite vulnerable at that period of time, just having a child as well. I always tend to work from the self, and yeah, I think why I like working with you is that you clearly you feel compelled to tell stories about truthful personal relationships and human experience, and I think that's kind of priceless. I think that's the sort of thing that if you distill any film down, that's what people kind of want. That's the essence, you know. It might be something that's escapism, but essentially you want to relate to the person, you know. You want that empathy. So that, I think.
So you came to the screening and you didn't have a sense of what it was going to be outside of your role, really, did you?
No.
Like, and I remember you said you really liked the film. As an actor, watching some of the kind of arguing between the director and Ricky and Heather, Bonnie. Not Bonnie in the film, is she? What's she called? Heather,
you wrote it.
Ricky and I'm calling her a real name. Heather's the actor. I'm confusing real life.
Yeah. I mean, I do that all the time. It's probably not healthy.
So David and Heather are the actors, and they have a lot of kind of arguing with Miranda's character.
Yes, yeah.
How did you feel about that? Because obviously last week Will was talking about the fact that it might not look great to actors.
Oh, I mean, for one, it's a film.
Yeah.
Take a step back.
I know, right?
Yeah. Really, just, don't take it personally. There's a film. There's obviously elements of truth in it, but to be honest, those scenes for me are some of the best scenes. I think it helps the pace of the film quite a lot.
Yeah.
This is from a layman.
The scene between Miranda and
The actors on the Zoom call. Yeah, I feel like, because there is a lot of reflection in regards to Miranda's character's experience.
Quite isolated.
Yeah, there's a sense of isolation, and then when you bring in another actor to the scene, I mean, it has to be this way, but also it's very helpful that they're quite different in their energy.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that helps with the pacing, and it brings different... And he was very good in it, I have to say.
He was, Ricky.
Yeah, and I thought...
So here's the thing, like, some of the backlash that happened with student reviews, they seem to think Rickies don't exist, and... You're laughing. Why are you laughing?
Because they 100% do exist.
So you're laughing because when you've been experienced and you've done a lot of different projects, you know that these blaggers 100% exist.
Yes, yeah, and they're a blight on the name actor.
Yeah.
It's again a culmination of different experiences, but I don't. Yeah, I think it's terrible that people would approach something that should be a collaborative experience. Bear in mind, you haven't written, you've not directed, it's not your project, that you should approach it in a way that you become the centre of attention.
It's what we were saying about Cleft Lip, isn't it? Like, yes, you're there to do your role, but so many other moving parts, and that you have to consider what's happening with other people. Like, the actor on Cleft Lip is a great example of a Ricky, where they would be arguing, no, I'm going to do this because it's like it's being fed through ego. Yeah. So kind of the backlash that happened online, like, do you have any thoughts on that? You don't have to commit.
I think. Well, no, I will. I don't mind. I'll say whatever. It's petty, is what it is. I think it's pathetic, and I think it's. From my understanding, is that these people are potentially aspiring filmmakers, and their lack of consideration and understanding about the context in which they're acting is remarkable. Like, why? Like, imagine you were in that situation and you were creating a film. Do you think it's professional? Do you think it serves anyone for you to be so petty? Because they're not reviews that are honest. about the integrity of the production. Like if they were to critique it in a way that, you know, some sort of their opinion held water, like it was actually, you know, something about your technique that they had umbrage with, you know, fair enough. Like it's a taste thing. But I read some of them and I was like, this is just an attack on your character more than anything, rather than the film itself. Did you say that was one that was just like poo, or someone
Yeah,
just poo?
that's a more recent one.
Well, isn't that the epitome of petty? Do you know what I mean? Like, honestly, it's ludicrous, and I think that if there's you know a platform that displays those sort of comments, well, it's a god awful shame for you, but also like it's a shame for that platform. I mean,
the
they can't police everything.
No, you can't. But like, I don't think any of the people considered. They didn't, for all their like, oh, there's no actors like this in the real world. They didn't consider the actors who were in the film. Some of them people, like, it's never going to be a film that makes millions or anything like that. But you're actually actively preventing it from finding the small audience that it might have found. And like, one of them attacked Terry, saying he's just playing himself. It's like, you don't know Terry.
Yeah.
Like,
and also playing yourself. What is that? Is that a problem? Like, I mean, I'm not saying that Terry, but like for me, like. Quite often I work from the self. Yeah. In fact, I find you quite vulnerable and open.
It's actually quite difficult to be authentic on camera, 100%. Even just being yourself.
In fact, doing character acting can sometimes offer a bit of a shield.
Yeah.
You can afford to be a bit more, demonstrative.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but Blurred Lines is out in the world, so yeah, it is what it is. It's a shame, but I really enjoyed working you on that. And one of the things that I liked with that scene was, this is where, like, for me, directing is about guiding tone, because I remember you and Miranda on like one of the very early takes, you got quite emotional in how you played it. Yeah. And I was like, I don't think we go to the tears. Yeah. Do you remember?
Yeah,
and then we
pulled
it back, and like there was lighter moments rather than that first take was quite. Do you remember getting quite emotional and we made it lighter in places instead? And I think that's what directing is for me, like letting people see what they do instinctively, and then we'll guide it from there. Yeah. And as long as they do know the script, there is that option. Whereas if they don't know the script, I don't know from your experience, but when I work with actors who don't know the script, I can see they're trying to remember what they should be doing.
It's a memory game.
Yeah.
And that's not acting then.
No.
You're playing a memory game and you're doing a line read. It's not the same.
I can see it. Yeah. When they don't fully know it and you can see they're trying to remember what they should be saying. Yeah. So what they instinctively do is, there's a moment of silence. They don't let that silence sit. They jump in with their line because they've remembered it and they go, yes, I say this here. Yeah. It's like, no, sometimes we can have that moment of silence. There's room there for the audience to read into. Yeah, and on set, you get opportunities to play. Yeah. Like, I don't know if you find that, but like, I mean, I think when we did Notion, which is in post now. Notion, sorry. I thought you said X then. Notion, in post, Yeah, so I played, is it Dino? You played Dino. Yeah, so... Have you read the script? Don't catch me out like that. It's so embarrassing. No, Dino's really interesting because, like, that's the role you were preparing for. The summer we did Blurred Lines. Yeah, so then to go to this guy. And then to go to the guy that's suddenly the kind of the this really kind of heartfelt, like, character and serious character. Yeah. But you were really, when we came to do Notion, it was really interesting because you met me for a coffee and you had all these ideas about him and what he would wear. And your outfit is so interesting in that film. It seems so real. Do you want to just talk to... coming up with that costume? Do you remember it? Yeah, because you're wearing the shorts, you're wearing the beat, like the fisherman hat. You look like you go to Stone Roses concerts, basically. Yeah, so I worked from like finding people that I knew and that that I could distill down and put into this character because I grew up in around people that were stoners, that people would go to raves and stuff like that, and I would I assumed that he was a character that was going to take parts of these people that I knew. Yeah. And the fact that this is why I love working with you is like there's a degree of preparation that if Miranda sends me an email saying we need costume ideas. I'm like, get me into the wardrobe. Do you know what I mean? This is part of it. You're seen as part of the process. Like it's not like I get up on the day and I do the memory game. This is all building up to a great whole. Miranda was so grateful for your costume because believe it or not everyone is like that. They send here's some pictures, but like it was clear that you'd really thought about what you could present. Yeah, and just to harken back to the bit about knowing your lines, like the fact that I think we did an exercise on the day where you wanted me to do it completely different or just try do it a bit fast or something or slow. I can't even remember what it was, but I was like, let's do that. And
and I didn't have to do the memory game. I was able just to like
No.
flip it on its head like that, and I think you have more fun on set as well. And if you're having fun on set, you're on for a winner, aren't you? Because everyone's enjoying themselves. You're gonna create good work.
So you're in a scene where kind of you're not holding court, but you're kind of like, it's a party scene.
It's my domain.
Yeah, and it's your house, and
yeah.
like you're kind of like leading the conversation.
I'm rolling the joints.
Yeah. And it was really interesting though, because what I noticed on the day was, as we went along, you were getting better and better at it. Kind of the humour of what you were saying. So even though I'd moved on to shooting the other actors, I actually ended up coming back to you for a few more takes. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Is that something that you can get more into it? Or because I know some actors say that like, no, 1 or 2 and I'm never getting any better. But with you on that day, I remember it was definitely getting better as we went along.
Yeah, I think so. There is merit in that, and you can find more things. And you know, I wouldn't have been on set with these people before. I don't know what their offers are. I don't know what we get from them. You know, and I didn't know what was going to happen. So because I've got all the work done beforehand, it could be, you know, free and organic in the scenes, which is contradictory to what a lot of people think. Is like, I want it to be, you know, fresh on the day, so I didn't learn my lines because I wanted it to be, you know. Well, actually, the opposite is true. If you're really prepared, you can afford that space to be explorative and enjoy, you know, making different offers. So I did. Yeah, I think there is merit in that you can get better throughout the day.
Because that is definitely a scene that's a lot more heightened than maybe the rest of the film, and it serves a purpose in the plot in that Penny's totally isolated. She's kind of on the periphery, and there's no one really there that she can...
She's disassociated from this whole
that
environment.
she can bond with. Because like the conversations, they're a bit juvenile really, aren't they?
Yeah. And I think, to be honest, like the further I went with it, probably the further she felt involved, like she was probably more. And there was some sort of looks with the I've forgotten his name, the actor.
Yes, Robbie.
Yeah. He's a proper sound bloke, and I remember like it fed into my performance, just having little side glances to him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh come on, mate, you know, sort of thing. It was just, there's something that you can't get, like sitting in a room learning your lines or whatever, you can't replace what you'll get from another actor.
And that's, again, it's an example of like, when I'm casting and you show up that day and I know you're going to deliver the goods for me. And the worst case scenario is that if everyone fluffs it, I can cut to your face. No, there's something in that.
Do you want to, that actually brings me to another point. Do you know, like those people that want to steal the scene and they want to upstage.
Are we talking about that scene? Go on.
No, I just mean like...
Just in general.
Those people, they tend to like disrupt other people's work, and it's not very, you know, doesn't help with the collaborative process. In fact, if you just stick to your lane and work on your process and actually hone your craft and actually display something that's actually valuable to the whole piece, you actually end up unintentionally getting more opportunities, because people go, oh, well, this is good. This is actually good material that I want to capture because the work's there. You
will not believe how many times me and Miranda have discussed exactly that point, because by being prepared and being present and delivering the goods, you can end up in the film more just by the simple fact that, well, let's see what Johnny's doing on that take.
Funny as well, I think it was half jokingly said, but on Mike's rehearsals, I think Mike or Jacqueline, the historian, one of them had said, like, I think you've wrote yourself a bigger part in this film, just from like how we engaged with the process.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and like the historical, you know, context that we brought up. And
it's 100% accurate. There are times where over the years, like an actor's done something and they've cut themselves out on the day. They literally have
their own worst enemy.
You know? What is it that, then, before we move on to video games, that you need from an actor, from a director, to do what you deem your best work, whatever that looks like? Yeah,
I think. I mean, this is just me as a person, but I'm sort of around the shoulder type person.
Right.
I'd really find it hard to get on board if an actor, for directors, like quite standoffish and not engaging with me. And I don't mean like they have to be like, oh yeah, that was really good, pandering to me and stuff like that. It's more a case of like, I want to feel like you want me here.
Yeah.
Like, are we collaborating together? I understand it's your production and this is your baby, but I'm here to tell your story. I'm a vehicle. So drive me. Do you know what I mean?
So interesting.
Yeah.
Is there times where you've not had that? where you felt like I'm sat here and I might as well not be?
Yeah, there has. I mean, I can't.
No, I'm not asking you to name the productions or tell me. but
then I've had. It's hard because I've also I remember doing a theatre scene when I was at RADA, and actually, the director didn't give me any notes, and it was a play called The Wonderful World of Socia, and I had to go visit a loved one in. Some music coming on.
Yeah, it's like,
so I cued it.
It was like. As you went into a reverie, the violin went off. Go on.
I was visiting a loved one in Hoffield, was going for a mental health episode, and it was like I had to sort of like have this demeanour about me where I was like listening to them and paying attention to their needs, but in a sense I felt like this is where I think great acting comes in. Is like you're saying one thing, but inside you're torn.
Yeah. And
you don't play that. That just organically happens, and it feeds into your physicality and everything. So in my head, I was like saying, I was really struggling with the fact that the relationship was deteriorating. I was really struggling with the fact that I love this person and we can't be together right now, and the dynamics have all changed. But also sympathetic to this person who's going through a mental health crisis, and I need to be there for them.
Yeah.
And I the scene did it, and I went off set and I started crying after the scene, And then I remember the director said to me at the end, he was like, "That was really good," and that was it.
Yeah.
And I just sort of felt like, that was enough. I didn't need any more. But there are, I mean, I don't expect a director to pander to, my every need and stuff. But I like to feel involved. And I like to know if I'm overstepping the mark and stuff. Yeah. The way I see it is, like I said, I'm a vehicle. I don't want to trespass and intervene on any other people's work. I've just done my work and I'm here to tell the story for you, so let's go. Yeah.
So as long as that space is facilitated and the director feels engaged, that's what you're looking for?
Yeah, 100%, yeah.
So alongside kind of the work you've done in real life, we're then getting into the digital animated world. So you've, over a number of years now, you've been working for a company called Epic Games.
That's right, yeah.
And you're a motion tracker.
Yeah, so
it's like motion capture, isn't it?
Yeah. So
do you want to talk to me about what that looks like day to day?
Yeah, okay. So I took on this job as motion tracker because I wasn't getting any auditions for motion capture or performance capture. I'm a bit of a nerd at heart. I like video games. So I grew up on video games, played with my brother and my family.
Okay.
And a lot of video games, utilize performance capture. So, some of the most notable ones would be Hellblade. That does almost exclusively a lot of it, but there's cinematics and facial capture in a lot of different video games, like Spider-Man, Call of Duty.
Yeah.
But obviously, a lot of people would know performance capture is Andy Serkis and
of course, Gollum, Caesar, all these. Yeah.
So that's probably people's first part of call when they think of performance capture.
Yeah.
Now I wanted like an opportunity to be in. I wanted a motion capture job, and I wasn't being seen for auditions.
Right.
And so I went for this entry-level job as a motion tracker, which was essentially getting an actor's performance and tracking dots on the face that would then be passed down the pipeline to animators and then be put into a video game. And I remember thinking, this is great. Maybe I can speak to the capture team and can I be used on some test data and all that. And, And eventually they started utilising me in some of their tests, and then they started using me for some of their actual productions. So I was putting. I've done facial capture for Yakuza, which is a video game. Starfield.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, you did. So I put up on Instagram today that I was doing this interview with you and what we were going to discuss.
Yeah.
And someone called Mackenzie Jones, who I taught, was very interested in Starfield and Star Wars in particular.
Yeah. Okay.
So could you talk about them projects and what it's like when you're in, because you've got less to interact with, I'm imagining, when you're doing this.
So with Starfield in particular, so we did a pipeline which was almost like ADR.
Right.
Because I'm not the voice in the game.
Okay.
I'm the motion in the game.
But it's your movement and face.
Yeah, my face. So we basically would be fed a line.
Yeah.
And we would have to match the intention and the intensity and the emotion of that line. And
oh, wow.
Almost like ADR, essentially. So then the dialogue could be kept the same, but the performance of me would be used as a benchmark for the animators to work off. That would go in engine. So yeah, that was the process of that. So that was quite demanding because we were doing like upwards of, you know, some days we were doing 1,000 lines a day.
Wow.
Yeah. It was quite a lot because these games are huge. Like they're like 60 to 80, maybe it depends how much time you want to put in. It could be like 100 hours worth of playing the game.
Right.
And then they've got all these like characters. Like you've got main characters, but then you've got like side quests where you'll have like non-playable characters, NPCs.
Right.
So that we were doing all of these. So that was basically what I was doing. Now, my performance capture as a whole, like, could be stuff like idle animations, and I mean, one useful resource would be a company called the Mocap Vaults that I've done some work with.
Right.
I trained with them. They're really good for actors wanting to get into that field.
Right.
So they look at performance capture as a whole. So that's not just facial capture, it's motion capture. It's, you know, on set capturing both audio and performance and inside the volume. You would have seen it with all the cameras and the dots on the suit and stuff. Yeah. So we have one of those upstairs actually.
Okay.
And I've been in the suit and stuff.
What's it like getting into that then? Because obviously I'm guessing like it's totally different, that you've got to let some of it go, haven't you, in terms of I'm creating the character, or do you still try and create the character?
Yeah, no, it's a very different approach, to be honest, because of the nature of the work. I mean, if you're doing 1,000 lines a day and you're doing like NPC male background, like you can't give him an emotional backstory. I'm sorry, you just don't have time. It's not going to work. So you kind of have to do sort of like, it's almost stamina work, you know. You just have to be like, rely on your experiences and your ability to, you know, adapt and be able to perform. Maybe not, you know, the best, but like you've got to churn through all these lines and stuff. Physically as well, like it's subtle. So like if you wanted to show yourself, I can't really do this on a podcast, but like if you're breathing, you might even be like moving your shoulders up and down like that, because in a video game, me breathing wouldn't read very well, because you'd be so subtle.
Yes.
So you would need to see the markers, which gets triangulated from the Vicon cameras.
Okay, was that something that, like, when you were first doing it, where they were giving you more direction, like, no, you need to be...
Yeah, so
you need to be clearly breathing.
Yeah, so that's one thing on the mocap vaults was like, yeah, this is, you know, great, you've got this character, but like we can't see it. Like if you looked at this reconstruction in engine, there's nothing going on. Like it's just like a static character.
Yeah.
You feel like you're really acting. It's like, no, you have to embody it a bit more. And that's a whole other sort of ball game.
That's so interesting because you say breathing, I can absolutely picture it where the character comes to a stop, but it's still moving.
Yeah.
And you're putting that in.
Yeah, so that's called an idle animation. So they'll do that and they'll loop it and stuff, and you'll have walking gaits. So like you'll do like 8 steps, and then you just cycle that animation, that walk animation.
Right.
Yeah.
So you've done, like, do you want to just list some of the credits? Because on that LinkedIn, there's an Avatar video game, isn't there?
Yeah.
There's a Star Wars one, there's this Starfield. I don't play video games, so I don't know. Like,
Call of Duty cinematics we did.
Call of Duty?
Yeah.
No, I've heard of that one.
Yeah, so that's probably one of the big AAA games. So we did some cinematics for that. That was facial capture, and there's a Final Fantasy in there. Spider-Man, Miles Morales Code of War. That's a big Sony first-party game. So yeah, quite a few. So I mean, a lot of these though would have been filmed by other studios, and then we would produce the tracking and animation for them and give it back to the client. There's a few like in-house, so like Epic Games Fortnite, that's an in-house one. So
do you do that as well?
Yeah, so Fortnite.
So what character are you that people would have heard of?
A banana.
You're a banana?
No, well, I'm everyone, to be honest, like, because in Fortnite Festival, we have to do the facial animation for them singing. It's like, you ever play Guitar Hero, Rock Band?
Yeah.
Well, I've heard of it. Yeah. It's sort of like we would have to animate the faces of these anthropomorphic things singing songs. So
can I ask a question then? Were you involved in that Kill Bill?
Oh, so yeah. So
you were?
Yeah.
Right, because I'm not being funny. What the hell was Tarantino playing at? So for those who don't know, so basically,
what was it called? It was like a side story that he wrote.
Was it Yuki's Revenge or something?
Yeah.
So he's re-released Kill Bill. He's brought the 2 volumes together. It's finally the film that he envisioned, and yet he says that, and then at the end, after the credits, there's this Fortnite sequence. It's like, I don't think you envisioned that 20 odd years ago because it didn't exist. I can't see you presenting the story in this way? Because it's presented like a video game. So
Yeah, well, it's in the Fortnite world, really.
So you were involved in it?
Yeah, so
could you talk about it?
I guess so, yeah. So
I guess so. You're like, this is what's going to be on my headstone.
Yeah, I wouldn't have been doing any
Yuki's
performance
revenge.
For it. Yeah. I know the animation team were quite critically involved in it because they had to actually bridge a lot of the body animation into our animation team to get it out on time.
Okay.
So there was that, and yeah, we did some tracking on it. But yeah, that's. I don't know. I've not heard what he thinks about it. He clearly thought it was a good idea.
I'm sure he did. Yeah. Because now the rights.
You seem a bit.
Well, the rights have reverted back to Tarantino, so I thought this has got cash grab written all over it. This sequence at the end.
Okay.
It totally does. I went to the cinema to watch it. It wasn't showing in loads of places. I went out to Fact. Is it Fact in Liverpool? The independent one. It's a picture house.
Okay, yeah.
So I sat there for all 4.5 hours or whatever it is. I sat through the credits, and then this thing comes up, and I don't play Fortnite.
Did you not expect it?
No, I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
That there was this sequence, but I thought it would be integrated a little more successfully than what it was, because it just became a video game. And I thought, I refuse to believe this is his grand vision for this film.
Yeah,
where
like the essence of it's there, but there's little side characters that appear in the background and stuff.
Yeah, like bananas, and then one of them gets sucked up into the sky. I thought, what the hell? Because obviously this was going to be a chapter within the film.
Yeah,
but it wouldn't have been presented like that.
No, I don't imagine his creative vision was when he wrote it was
Fortnite.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know the
No, I'm not asking you to comment, but when I watched it,
I knew that you would have a say on it, though.
No. To be honest, I didn't know that you were involved in that until you just mentioned it. So it gave me a good excuse to rant about it because I thought, have you not got enough money, man? Then you need to be taking money off Fortnite.
No one's got enough money in this world, Mark, have they? Let's face it.
Wow.
I mean, if he puts it into his last feature and his last feature's incredible.
Yeah.
Then maybe it's
if he did it now when this was like some comment on the world in which we're living in, that everything has to become a product. Fair enough, but it just wasn't. I refuse to believe this was the intention.
Yeah. I've not heard him speak about it, though.
No.
Have you? Has there been any interviews about it?
Yeah. I don't think I have. And I tell you what, like, it's coming out on 4K, isn't it? If it's got that sequence on, I'd consider not buying it. It offended me that much. If I find out that's on at the end, it's like, no, you're not having mine with me, Quentin.
I'm not going to watch that.
Right, okay. So, Epic Games, right, okay. So you've been doing this since 2020, did you say?
November 2019.
Yeah. Right, and obviously now,
it's coming to an end.
Unfortunately, it's coming to an end, and you don't have to talk too much about it because I know, like, there's a whole process of dealing with presumably unions and things like that.
Yeah,
but the company have been keen to point out that this has nothing to do with AI, the reason why there's going to be job layoffs. But interestingly, the first thing I said to you when you said, like, there's going to be layoffs, I went, oh, is it AI? Like, what is the future for a steady income for actors when you found this? Do you see what I'm saying? You found a position here where you can apply your skills as an actor, and it's been taken away. Now, we don't know if it was because of AI.
Yeah. So to be honest, like, towards the end of my career here, I wasn't doing much in the way of acting. A lot of it's sort of outsourced, and I won't speak too much into that because that's it's Epic's domain. And but my gripe is, we could specifically talk about AI and the world of acting. Would be, I think there's a space for AI in the world of computer science and development, engineering, things like that, because coding can be increased tenfold, and production can be enhanced. Very, the speed at which things can be done can be enhanced incredibly. Now, specifically talking about things like generative AI, and that's things like creating images, creating video, Sora, I think.
That's one of them.
ChatGPT models that they deployed, and then there's this company that an AI film studio with AI actors and stuff, which is getting a lot of headlines at the moment. I don't buy into that. I think it's a shame, really. I think it detracts and sort of is a bit of an insult for creatives that we would lean into that. Because, as well, generative AI is a culmination of things and assets that have been sourced from the internet or, are out there in the ether. And they have borrowed ideas indirectly from other creatives to make this
Yeah.
sloppy sort
Absolutely.
of. And I think that's if. My whole take on it is like I think people will try and cash grab on it, and there will be an influx of AI created material. But ultimately, people will gravitate towards human-made material because you can't replace that.
Yeah.
And the same way people listen to vinyls and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like I don't want to watch someone that isn't real do this performance. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I
think it's slightly separate from what I've been doing here because we don't really do generative AI.
No.
That's more the stuff. If AI is ever being utilised, it's more for development of engineering pipelines and stuff like that, the boring stuff. The generative AI in terms of manufacturing performances, fabricating creative material. I think that's. I just can't. I mean, I don't enjoy it. Do you ever watch any of these AI sort of videos?
No, honestly, it's like, to be honest, I think it appeals to a very specific type of person who likes the idea of being creative but doesn't have the will to get up and do it.
Yeah.
I think it's very appealing to people who want to get the cheat code.
Yeah, it is that, isn't it?
It's the cheat code to the end, but it's like, it looks awful as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, it'll get better, but when I think, me and Will were discussing last week 70s cinema and some of the dirt under the fingernails that's been lost, and AI, it's that tenfold. Everything, it's lost that human touch. I remember I was editing a short film maybe about 15 years ago, and I was listening to the Beatles, surprisingly, whilst I was editing it. I had my headphones in, and partway through one of the songs, you heard the click of where they pieced together 2 takes, and that human moment of hearing okay, they were all right with letting stuff like that go, and it's a reminder that art isn't perfect, but it's in that imperfection that we find the humanity. And if everything's perfect and everything's glossy and I don't know, I think something's lost. And I do think art has got to come from the person. You've got to get a sense that a human is behind it. For me anyway. It's I refuse to believe that party scene that we shot for Notion, that AI would have been able to come up with what we did. Now, it's a very basic scene, but on the day, seeing how you react to Samuel, for instance, or seeing how you react to Megan, or how Caitlin then responds instinctively because of how you've delivered a line that's quite sexual, seeing her reaction to that, you're just not going to get that.
No.
You're not.
I remember me and my wife, she's read this book called Verity, and I think it's in pre-production to be made into a film, and we were just like, oh, how far along is it? Is there a trailer? We went on YouTube, Verity trailer, oh, it must be. Clicked it.
And it was fake.
Yeah. But you could tell because the eyes were glazed over, the skin had no pores, the eyes were extremely overly wide. And I was like, they're not gonna bridge that gap.
To be honest, this is something that I'm fighting back in my filmmaking regardless, this aim for perfection. Every indie short and every indie project I'm seeing recently has the same glossy, overproduced look, and it's because they're all adding the same colour grade, the same looks, and they're all getting this, and it's phony. It's not how I see the world. If I look out the world now, I don't see it with looks on it. We
spoke a little bit last week as well about formulas and film structure formulas and stuff. If it becomes too formulaic, it's it loses the human aspect.
Where's the formula, the structure formula for a story like Peterloo?
I mean,
it just isn't there.
Yeah.
And I think Mike Leigh's work in particular, there's not these clear structures. Something like Naked. How would a script writing tutor teach that to come out with a film like Naked? Yeah, you've got the structure of it being over the course of this evening, haven't you? But beyond that, there's these moments that a script writing tutor will say, well, you can cut that.
Yeah. But it's driven by human experience, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's not driven by a formula, a checkbox of things that needs to be completed to get
exactly an outcome.
Yeah,
it is. It's teaching verse, chorus, bridge, wrap up.
Yeah.
And it's saying that no song can ever do anything outside of that. Same with a film; it can't ever deviate from that structure.
Yeah.
Well, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
Quite frankly. So obviously this is coming to an end now. What's the? You said you're quite excited about the fact that you've got time to move on to something else?
Yeah, well, number one, I've got time to spend with my family, my young family. My youngest is going to be one the weekend, and it's going to be great. I've got like a silver lining of a lot of free time to spend with them, but I've also not really invested in myself and my skills and stuff like that. So I'm thinking about doing some extra training, potentially.
Specifically with acting?
No, potentially in something like data engineering or something like that, yeah. Because I've really enjoyed my time, actually. The stuff that I've been working on recently here, I actually found it quite rewarding. But I do want to brush off and dust off my my show reel and maybe...
Your show reel, yeah.
Yeah, try and...
Do some acting.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, I don't know what is going to happen. I don't know what's next, and I'm right now just in a really good place where I wouldn't have left this job off my own accord, sadly being let go, and now I'm just sort of taking time to, you know, come to terms with it and spend time with my family and see what happens next and invest in myself, and whatever happens. I'm still waiting for you to write me an absolute blockbuster main character film where I'm
not in a blockbuster, but a blockbuster main character.
Yeah. I'll make it a blockbuster because it's all about me.
So what would, if you were to get back into acting, what are you looking for out of that now? Because obviously it's going to have some pull to take you away from family.
Yeah.
Hasn't it? Because it is time. People are giving you their time.
Yeah. I think...
Oh, it's clearly lunch hour now.
Yeah. So sorry about... I didn't realise...
We've got the trays.
The trays are all coming out.
It is what it is. We're in the cafeteria.
Yeah.
Well, go on.
Yeah, so... I think it's a good story. It's something that I feel compelled to do. You know, something that I don't... Like I read it and I'm like, yeah, this is the next thing for me. Or it's something that just generally intrigues me, and I have that curiosity to want to pursue it. But yeah, it's finding that.
What would you say to someone who's leaving drama school now? What would be your advice? Because I know hindsight's an incredible thing, but...
Yeah, make sure you're hungry for it. It's not going to be easy, and be realistic about your expectations, what you want to get out of it. Do you want to be a jobbing actor? Like, there's a small percentage of people that will get a really sustainable sort of career out of it.
Yeah.
Acknowledge that. And if you know that that's the case and you're happy with it, then by all means do it. I feel like I did have that in the back of my mind, and I just kind of got to the point where I made my peace with it, and it was okay to just move on to ventures new. Yeah.
So an incredible compliment, actually. Like, so we're going to have to absolutely work together again, because I remember you said to me once, you've only been able to watch yourself a couple of times on screen.
I can't honestly.
You can't handle looking at yourself.
I can't watch myself back. If I listen to this podcast, it's going to be really hard.
It's been difficult for me hearing my own voice, actually. It's kind of grating, but
I'm going to honestly try and listen to this one. I'll do my best. But on screen, I've walked out of screenings where my scenes have come on and I can't. And it's not disrespect to the director.
Yeah.
I actually feel really bad when I do it. It's really selfish of me. But it's something like I honestly find my skin crawling and it's like intolerable.
Wow.
So it's just a really bad personal thing that I can't stand to watch myself.
Yeah.
But with you,
there's two filmmakers, isn't there? And I was like, I'll have that as a compliment.
Yeah, I can stomach watching. I think it's because I'm distracted by the whole film.
So it's been like, you can watch yourself in a Mike Leigh film and a Mark Duggan film.
Yeah.
I'll have that as
Put that
as
on
a
your
compliment.
web
That's
page.
going on my CV.
Yeah.
Johnny, thank you so much for your time.
Thank
We've
you.
recorded for 2 hours.
Oh, wow. I've waffled that long.
And
Why didn't you shut me up?
No, I guess we'll next see
We're
each
running
other
to lunchtime.
at the Notion screening.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, Dino.
Yeah, see what he looks like.
Well, you know what he looks like? He looks like a Stone Roses fan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Johnny, thanks so much.
No, thank you, Matt. Thank you very much.